Well, I was with Blake Tart, Jim Jard, I mean, all his friends.
Right.
Oh,
Facts
yeah,
are
they're
facts.
all
Let's just go with
helping
what's known and true.
Yeah, I'll be
Right.
real.
We've got an all-star panel of political analysts on hand to talk about today's indictment of Rick Perry. Sue, what went through your head when you heard Rick Perry was indicted by the Travis County Grand Jury?
Well, it's a bump for the Democrats locally across the state, but it's not really going to mean that much. I mean, Rick Perry's not up for election this year. I think Rick Perry's going to get beat up mostly by his fellow Republicans in the 2016 presidential primary. That's where he's really going to get beat up on about this.
Joe, were you surprised about this news when you heard it?
Well, in line with what Sue's saying, it's coming from Washington. Everybody must be concerned about Perry's run for the White House. The best way to take him out is to indict him. You can't beat him, you indict him.
Kathleen, your thoughts, do you think there's merit to these charges? I mean, the governor made a threat, said, I'm going to veto this money if she doesn't resign. And he kept his word.
Well,
is that within his rights?
I don't think threat is the right word. I think pressure is the right word, and that happens all the time in these sort of things. So I think he used the power that he had to try to get someone to resign who clearly should have resigned. You know, she really lost the public trust, and he did what he thought he should do for the state of Texas.
Jenard, these charges come from a hotbed of Democratic strength, Austin, Texas, and there are those who say it wouldn't have happened in any other Texas city. Your thoughts on that?
The problem is that Austin is a part of Texas. I mean, you can't siphon off and say, well, this is a Democratic county, this is a Republican county. I mean, you look at Harris County alone in itself. It's in the last couple of years we flipped from being red to blue, red to blue, red to blue. It doesn't matter. What we're talking about is, and I completely agree with what Kathleen said, pressure, whether it was a threat or not, it's illegal. That's the problem. The issue is that you can't use your power as a governor of this state to try to get somebody out of office. And I've heard no disagreement from any Republican who says that that's not what he did. And if that's what he did, that's illegal. Thus the charges.
Well, if it was illegal, why would he have made it public? Like, he warned her. He said, you need to resign. I mean, I don't think he felt it was illegal, or he wouldn't have made, he would have kept it more private. He didn't do that. He made it public for everyone to know that he was pressuring her to resign.
Joe, I wanted to ask you a question. And Sue, you chime in here. Y'all both spent a lot of time in this state. Do you think most Texans believe that what Rick Perry did was wrong or out of line?
Look at the video of this district attorney who runs the Public Integrity Unit. Look at the video, and then you ask me, or anybody, Jenard, anybody, did Rick Perry return integrity to the Integrity Unit?
Sue, I've always admired your ability to put your pulse on the way voters are thinking. Do you think Texans think what went on in Austin during the last legislative session and the governor's actions were wrong?
I think people see it's a clear conflict of interest, and I would use the word threat. He said, you're either going to do this or I'm going to veto your money. If that's not a threat, I don't know what it is. Republicans are always trying to bring it, well, it's Obama, it's the Washington, it's the liberals, it's the, It was a special prosecutor who served under a Republican president who did it. It was a grand jury, individual citizens who handed up the indictment. This wasn't the Democrats getting together and say, oh boy, we can indict him. You can't, and this is not about Rosemary Limburg. This is about an action that Rick Perry took, period.
Let's talk about consequences, and I'll stick with you, and we'll go back down the line. Rick Perry was considering and in play as a presidential contender on the Republican side. What does this controversy, if not conviction, controversy, do to his chances?
Well, I think it obviously has to hurt. He's worked very hard at changing his image with the glasses and getting rid of the cowboy boots and spending, thousands of dollars on media training. It's got to hurt him. But again, it's going to be the Republicans who are going to attack him, his fellow Republicans in the primary, who are going to use this against him. He needs this to go away quickly, but if you look at the Tom DeLay case, this thing could be dragged out for a long time. It probably doesn't rise to the level of the Chris Christie bridge issue, but it's something to use against him.
Joe, does this hamstring his presidential run?
Well, sure it does. It's distracting, let's put it that way, but I would imagine that if people like Rick Perry, they're going to mail checks today to get him out of this trouble, to get the right legal support that he needs. He's not guilty. He will not be convicted. This is, if you can't beat him, indict him. It's the same theory that happens all the time in Travis County. As I asked earlier, how many Democrats have ever been indicted in Travis County? How many? Name me one.
Gib Lewis.
Okay.
But that's been a long time.
By the way, he's not a radical liberal Democrat. We're talking about a whole different group of Democrats, Gib Lewis days versus what we have today. I said it earlier, go check out the movie America. Radical liberalism is what we're fighting right now. If you can't beat them, indict them. It's my storyline. I'm sticking to it.
Can't beat him, indict him. Can Rick Perry turn this around in a political sense to the Republican base and say, look what they had to do, and try to tell that narrative? They couldn't beat me, so they indicted me in their stronghold.
Well, Obama uses that strategy a lot. Like, they're attacking me, so sue me, all that. You know, he uses that to get a lot of money into the Democratic Party and all the fundraisers that he's going to. So, you know, I don't know if that'll work. You know, if the Republicans will feel that way about Perry. But he's been, the best governor in Texas that I can remember. And I think they'll stand by him. I think this will hurt him, because anytime you hear something about an indictment, it hurts. But I think he can overcome it. And by the way, he got rid of the boots because of his back surgery, so not because he was trying to redo his image. So,
an independent prosecutor in this case. Are the folks in Travis County being shortchanged as being so partisan that they can't make an even-handed decision on the law?
What we're talking about is an independent grand jury. We have no idea who was in that room. We could have 10 Republicans that were in that room, 10 Democrats, it doesn't matter. The governor of this state, the head of the Republican Party in the state of Texas, broke the law. And the problem is that these insider games, political games, are what happens when you have one-party rule in a single state. We're talking about 2 decades of Republicans being in power. So they feel like they can do just about anything that they want, and this trickles down from the governor all the way down, and it infiltrates the party all the way down to the county levels. What we're talking about here is you have to have a balance of power in a particular state, which is the reason why I believe the Texans are going to take a look at this, and they're going to take a really good, strong look at Wendy Davis and Leticia Van Depute, and I think this is going to have ramifications for this fall. Forget Rick Perry's prospects for presidential in 2016. Who cares? This is Texas. We have an election coming up in a couple of months, and I think we're going to have serious ramifications that fall out of the Republican Party for this.
Okay, Joe, I'm going to slide back down to Sue, and I want you all just to wrap up a couple of thoughts that if you're having a cup of coffee with an average Texas voter and they're dealing with this issue, what would you like them to consider?
That this is not about Obama, this is not about Rosemary Lindbergh, this is about the governor of the state of Texas threatening a public official. You either resign or I'm going to cut the funding to your agency. And this is not just any agency, this is the Public Integrity Group. This is the one that investigates the corruption of public officials. They were already looking into the Cancer Prevention Institute, and cutting that group could have derailed that investigation. And they were looking at the Republican appointees to that. So, yeah, it's not about politics. This is about somebody who overreached and is now facing the consequences.
Joe, what are your thoughts here?
This district attorney ran the Public Integrity Unit. She was arrested for driving while intoxicated. She pled guilty. She was sentenced to 45 days. That's an issue for the district attorney to be concerned about, and it's an issue for our governor and our state to be concerned about. If we don't have integrity in the district attorney's office, where else can we look for it? This governor did his job as the chief executive officer. He's trying to return integrity to Travis County.
I bet you're going to be writing about this pretty quick.
Yes. Well, what I say to a voter is that, let me get this straight. A district attorney that has power over 254 counties, so that's Democratic power in the so-called GOP, ruled state, gets drunk. She could have killed a family. She was 3 times over the legal limit. She had to be strapped to a chair with a mask over because allegedly she was biting and spitting, and she gets a slap on the wrist. And Perry wants her to resign, and he's the bad guy. That's what I would say to them.
I'm guessing you don't agree with that.
I absolutely don't agree. Listen, this is not about the district attorney of Travis County. This is about the head of the Republican Party in the state of Texas. This is about Governor Rick Perry. Did he or did he not break the law? Both of my Republican colleagues that are here, Republican and conservative colleagues here, have said that that's exactly what he did. He broke the law. If the district attorney in Travis County broke the law, which she did, she served her time. Rick Perry broke the law, he has to serve his time too. But the ramifications for this are from the top all the way down. I believe that when you have the head of a party in this state who gets caught up in this type of insider politics and corruption, it has ramifications for the entire party, which is the reason why I believe that this is a boost for the Democrats, because it's going to force Texans to take a look at this two-party rule that has dominated the state and what it has caused.
Don, it's dangerous to criminalize politics. That's the wrong direction for these radical liberals to go.
Then why did Rick Perry do it?
It is exactly the only way they can beat. If you want to win an election, get your voters to the poll and win an election. We're trying to raise money in Harris County for the Republican Party to do that very thing, so we can keep our judges in place. If folks want to donate money to the Harris County Republican Party, all they have to do is send me a check. I'm the chairman of the Finance Committee.
But this isn't about. This isn't politics. This is actual charges of corruption by a governor, by a state official. This isn't. They didn't indict him because he's a Republican. They indicted him because he committed criminal acts.
I'll predict not guilty.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. We asked for thoughtful, articulate commentary, and that's what we got. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, folks. Now it's time for you to figure it out.